There comes a moment, quiet, heavy, absolute, when a man stares into the mirror and sees not who he is, but who he's allowed himself to become. And in that moment, there's no applause, no cheering crowd, no comfort, only truth. The truth is this: you are either reprogramming your mind, or you are recycling your past. You are either rewriting your beliefs, or reliving the same cycle, with a different face, a different year, a different excuse. But the pattern stays, because your mind was built to obey, not to question. You were born limitless, but then came the voices: parents, teachers, television, trauma, layer by layer, belief by belief. The world handed you a script, and you followed it. You're not smart enough. Money doesn't grow on trees. Play it safe. Dream smaller. And you did, until the script became your identity, and the cage felt like home. But listen to me now. That identity is not your destiny. That past is not your future. Unless you continue to serve it. You are not a victim of memory. You are the architect of meaning. And you must choose. Will you rewire your mind, or relive your past? Because here is the law. What you don't consciously change, you unconsciously repeat. Your brain is a machine, ancient, brilliant, relentless, and it will run whatever program you give it. Whether that's fear or faith, lack or abundance, survival or creation. And most people? They spend their entire lives reacting to an operating system they never chose, living from inherited fears, second-hand doubts, generational stories, and they call it personality. They call it fate. They call it just the way I am. But just the way you are is just the way you've been trained. So if you want the life no one in your bloodline has lived, you must think thoughts no one in your bloodline ever dared to think. You must build a mind that is stronger than your past, because the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards clarity. And clarity only comes when you start asking better questions. Not, why me? But, what belief made me tolerate this? Not, how can I get more? But, who do I need to become to receive what I say I want? This is where the rewiring begins. See, Edison wasn't obsessed with the light bulb. He was obsessed with the possibility. Carnegie didn't chase steel. He chased dominance of an idea. Disney didn't start with a cartoon. He started with imagination unchained. They all rewired the impossible into inevitable, because their minds had already arrived before the world did. But you've been taught to wait, to be reasonable, to fit in, to settle for scraps, because someone convinced you that the feast wasn't for people like you. Lies, all of it. And here's the hardest truth. If you don't face the lies in your mind, you'll spend the rest of your life defending a reality you secretly hate. This is war, but not out there. In here. It's a war between your current programming and your chosen future. And you win not by force, but by repetition. You don't change your life with motivation. You change your life with mental discipline. The kind of discipline that rewires your self-image, refuses to entertain past limitations, and trains your mind like a warrior trains his body. With obsession, with precision, with purpose. Every morning you wake up, you have a choice. Will you serve the version of you that was built in survival, or the one that is rising into creation? Let me say this to you like a man facing his own fire. If your thoughts were a blueprint, would you want to live in the house they're building? Because you already do. You're already living inside your mind. Every belief, every fear, every story, every expectation. You don't experience reality, you experience your programming. So if you want to change your reality, you must change the mind that's filtering it. Not someday. Not when it's convenient. Now, because your past is not patient, it will creep in the moment you stop being vigilant. And it speaks in the language of comfort. It says, "You've tried enough. You're too late. Maybe success just isn't for you." But that voice is not your intuition. It's your infection. It's the echo of an old identity, trying to pull you back into the mental prison you once called normal. Burn it, bury it, break it, because the mind that built your cage cannot build your freedom. You need a new mind, one that aligns with where you're going, not where you've been. So rewire it, daily, relentlessly, not with empty affirmations, but with identity alignment. Ask yourself, what would a disciplined version of me do right now? What would the wealthy, focused, powerful version of me think in this moment? And then become that. Don't wait for the feeling. Create it. Don't wait for motivation. Move without it. That's what rewiring looks like. It's not comfortable. It's conscious. It's not fast. It's faithful. It's not hype. It's habit. Because the truth is, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you expect. And you expect what your mind is wired to believe is normal. So if struggle is your normal, you'll find a way to repeat it. If sabotage is your pattern, you'll justify it again and again. But when wealth becomes your standard, when peace becomes your baseline, when excellence becomes your identity, you will reject anything beneath it like a body rejects poison. You won't need to chase transformation, you'll become it. So the question becomes, what is your baseline? What is your mind calibrated to expect? Not in fantasy, but in habit. Because the results you keep getting are not random. They are a mirror, a direct reflection of the standards your mind has silently agreed to. If you're tired of anxiety, stress, procrastination, and failure, it's not because life is cruel. It's because your inner thermostat is set to survival. And no matter how much inspiration you consume, no matter how many books you read or podcasts you listen to, you will always default to the level your mind is wired for. That's why broke people win the lottery and go broke again. That's why people lose weight and gain it back. That's why someone finally finds love and sabotages it. Because you can change your circumstances, but if you don't change your identity, your subconscious will drag you back to the familiar. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your patterns. Your patterns are stronger than your promises, stronger than your wishes, stronger than your temporary hype. So if you want to change your life, you have to upgrade your patterns. And that begins by standing guard at the gate of your mind. With ruthless precision, you must eliminate the noise, cut off the low-frequency talk, say no to small thinking, walk away from people who reinforce the old programming, and say this with your entire being, I will not be available for mediocrity anymore. Because here's what no one tells you. Mediocrity is not passive. It's not just something that happens. It's an addiction, an emotional comfort zone, a repeated agreement between you and your past self. You've made contracts in your mind, contracts to stay small, to avoid pain, to not shine too brightly, to stay loyal to who you were, instead of who you could become. But contracts can be broken, and this is your invitation to tear them up. The world is filled with people who had every reason to fail, and rewired anyway. Oprah wasn't handed belief, she forged it. Arnold didn't grow up with vision, he built it. Les Brown was labeled educable mentally retarded, but he reprogrammed the story. Every master was once broken, every icon was once invisible, every giant was once ignored. What separated them wasn't luck. It wasn't talent, it was wiring. It was what they believed about themselves when no one was watching. What they repeated to themselves in silence. What they expected behind closed doors. That's where greatness is born. not in front of crowds, but in the dark room of the mind, where old beliefs die and new identities are formed. And this requires sacrifice. You must be willing to let go of the version of you that was built for survival, so you can step into the version that was made for legacy. Yes, it will feel unnatural at first. Yes, your nervous system will scream for the familiar. Yes, the old identity will try to bargain with you. But don't negotiate with limitation. You can't reason with a prison. You must outgrow it. Rewiring your mind isn't some morning ritual or surface-level affirmation. It's a full-scale renovation of how you interpret your life. And that takes work. Brutal, beautiful, internal work. The kind of work that the average man avoids, and the exceptional man commits to. So stop trying to fix your life on the outside. Upgrade your thoughts, because the quality of your thinking will always determine the quality of your existence. You don't need another plan. You need a new lens. You need to wake up every single day and remind yourself, I am not my past. I am not my programming. I am not their expectations. I am who I choose to become. And then move like it's already true. Because when you walk like the man you want to be, think like the man you want to be, act like the man you want to be, the world will adjust. The world reflects your conviction, not your words, not your hopes, your alignment. That's how a man becomes unstoppable. When he finally refuses to play small for one more minute. When he finally stops bowing to fear disguised as logic. When he finally says, "This is it. I'm not carrying this outdated version of myself into one more day." And in that decision, a new identity is born. So make the decision, not once, daily. Because repetition is the code of the subconscious. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over comfort, vision over victimhood, you're rewriting the script. The old story, it's fading. The new story, you're living it. And if the mind ever tries to pull you back, remind it, I'm not here to relive my past. I'm here to rebuild my future. And rebuild you will, but not with scraps, not with remnants of who you used to be. You rebuild with vision, with the clearest, boldest, highest definition image of who you are becoming, etched so deeply into your mind that the present has no choice but to catch up to the future you've already seen. This is not fantasy. It is neuroplasticity. It is biology bowing to belief. You see, the mind doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined future and reality. What you dwell on, it builds. What you repeat, it wires. What you believe, it manifests. Not magically, but mechanically. So ask yourself, are you rehearsing a future worth becoming? Or are you obsessing over a past not worth reliving? Because every thought is a rehearsal. Every repetition is a ritual. And what you repeat, you remember. What you remember, you reinforce. And what you reinforce becomes who you are. That's why gratitude is power. Not because it's nice, but because it trains the mind to see abundance where it once saw lack. It forges neural pathways that say, I already have more than enough. So I'm ready for more. It shifts your identity from seeker to steward. Gratitude isn't weakness, it's weaponry. It silences the ego, dismantles the victim, and programs the brain for receiving. You cannot hate your life and build a better one at the same time. You cannot curse your journey and still expect it to elevate you. You want to rewire your mind? Start by praising what you used to resent. Thank the hardship. It carved your hunger. Thank the rejection. It redirected your path. Thank the struggle. It taught you how to fight. You're not just healing. You're transforming. And there's a difference. Healing wants to make you feel better. Transformation wants to make you different. This is why clarity matters. Because a mind without clarity defaults to chaos. And chaos always leads back to the familiar. Because even dysfunction feels safe when it's predictable. But clarity, real, soul-deep clarity, is a declaration of war against every distraction, every detour, every doubt. It says, "This is who I am. This is what I want, and nothing less will survive in my atmosphere." You want to command your mind? Give it direction. Stop feeding it mixed signals. Stop saying you want wealth while rehearsing scarcity. Stop asking for focus while bathing in distractions. Stop claiming your future while dragging your past into every conversation. Your mind is obedient. It is not emotional. It is not loyal to your dreams, only to your commands. So command better. Think like a leader. Act like a visionary. Decide like a king. No more dabbling. No more hesitation. No more half-built bridges to nowhere. You are not here to live on repeat. You are here to reinvent. You are not here to escape your past. You are here to eclipse it. The man who rewires his mind is not lucky. He's disciplined. He's obsessed. He studies himself like a general studies war. Constantly evaluating. Constantly upgrading. Constantly refusing to settle for mental mediocrity. That's the edge. That's the difference. Not talent, tenacity, because you don't get what you're worthy of. You get what you're wired for. And wiring is not romantic. It's repetitive. It's doing the internal work when no one's watching. It's rewriting the story until the old one dies of neglect. So stop waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. You were born for the moment. Stop waiting for certainty. Nothing great was ever built from certainty. Only from clarity and courage. You already know what needs to go. The excuse, the addiction, the story, the version of you that flinches at discomfort and calls it logic. Let it die. Because every time you choose alignment over autopilot, consciousness over comfort, vision over validation, you are not just rewiring your brain. You are reclaiming your life. And when you reclaim your life, you no longer chase success. You command it. You walk into every room different. Not louder, but clearer. Not arrogant, but anchored. Because now you know who you are. Not based on history. Not based on trauma. But based on truth. Your truth. And the truth is this. You were never broken. You were programmed. And what was programmed can be rewritten. They told you to stay safe, to play small, to be realistic. They taught you fear before you ever learned faith. They handed you beliefs drenched in their own limitations and called it love. But their fear is not your future. Their doubt is not your destiny. And their ceiling is not your sky. You are not here to repeat what they survived. You are here to transcend it. The patterns end with you. The poverty ends with you. The overthinking, the shame, the inner war. It all ends with you. And not because you hoped. Not because you prayed once and waited. But because you did the work. Because you sat in the silence and rewired the noise. Because you faced every demon and denied them access to your throne. You see, the most dangerous man alive is not the one with power. It's the one who has rewired his mind. Because that man cannot be manipulated. He cannot be shamed into submission. He cannot be seduced by mediocrity. He cannot be owned by the opinions of the crowd. He lives by design. He breathes with purpose. He walks in alignment. He is free. That's the man you're becoming. Not one day. Not when the timing is right. But now. The moment you stop giving your past the microphone, your future begins to speak. The moment you stop negotiating with your weakness, your strength steps forward. The moment you stop worshiping your wounds, your wisdom rises, and the world will feel it. Not because you yelled louder, but because you moved different. No more self-betrayal. No more identity confusion. No more glorifying your limitations and calling it humility. You were born for greatness, not as an idea, but as a code buried deep inside you, waiting to be activated by decision. So choose. Rewire or repeat. Create or conform. Transcend or tolerate. Because if you do not choose, the past will choose for you. The life you crave is not found in better circumstances. It's found in a better mind. And that mind is yours to shape, to forge, to lead. Rewire your mind. Or relive your past. But don't you dare pretend you didn't have the power to choose.